Hope you guys are doing well. It's a Monday. As you can see, it is a beautiful day here. And Nate, how are you, buddy? My little fairy garden. The gnomes are out. I'm reading to the gnomes today. And you. I guess I'll just kick it here for a bit till some more homies join. And then where did we leave off? We left off on the end of chapter 13. So we resume today at chapter 14, the sacred resting place. I got my camera rigged up here. I hope it's okay. I don't know. It's a weird angle. Hello. Hello from inside my cranium. Tommy, brother, how are you? Good to see you. It's weird. I feel like I'm staring into the wrong place. Okay, well, it's gonna have to work. It's gonna have to work. It got quiet, yeah. It was a weird, oh, really? How about now? How about now? Right about now. Bunk soul brother. Usually I rely on the powerful prowess of my big mouth. I'm just naturally loud. I don't do blend or sneaky very well, so. All right, well, when two or more are gathered, then that's when miracles happen. So thank you, each and every one of you miracles, for being here today. Oh, what the F? Maybe because, you know what? I got a stream rocking behind me here. I don't know if you guys can see that. Over this behind that is a little stream. It goes into a pond. Maybe it's the chime. I don't know. How's that? How's that right now? Like, does it need to be super close to me, maybe, or? Because making it weird is kind of my specialty. I can do that. Now I can't even see the chat. What the heck? How about now? I really don't know what else to say. Everything is fairly huge. Okay, so I'll just have to. I got a big rig out today. I've got my tripod. My tripod. I mean, this is what I've got. This is what I've got. So, I don't know. I don't know what's causing the poor audio. Maybe I'm just not stoked enough. Maybe I should get super stoked. Sue, hello, welcome. Welcome to my home. It's those birds. Chirp, chirp, stealing all my sound, my audio glory. Chickadees. I don't know. as I said, we're kind of almost in the middle of the book here now. We're about to start chapter 14. I mean, the audio's got to be there, guys. It's not like I'm just dribbling out my normal amount of whatever. This is of an important nature. So I would like the audio to come across on a level that Mr. Davis himself can make some reels for replay. Guys, how's the sound now? Just let me know. If it's even moderately doable, I'm just going to let her rip. Okay, good enough for me. Sue, let's do this. All right, chapter 14 is the sacred resting place. Yes, I did that. That's how I roll. That's how you can tell when books are very loved. The sacred resting place. What calls the leaf to drop is not force, but timing. And in one of those quiet moments, that familiar inner voice returned. It didn't shout, it simply asked, "So what have you come to know?" Pardon me. I'm off to the races here, guys. I'm at the beginning enough, I can just start over. So what have you come to understand now, and how? There was no judgment in the question, only presence. It came with weight. Not the weight of gravity, but the gravity of truth. And I answered the only way I could. Not with a conclusion, but with the next honest response. Modern physics tells us that gravity is the invisible force responsible for keeping planets in orbit, holding oceans to the sides of spinning spheres, and gluing us all to the ground as Earth supposedly hurls through space in multiple directions at once. Newton described it as a force of attraction between masses. Einstein revised it into a curvature of space-time caused by mass and energy. Today, gravity, it's a good book. Join in, we're on page 88. Newton described it as a force of attraction between masses. Einstein revised it into a curvature of space-time caused by mass and energy. Today, gravity is treated less like a defined force and more like a placeholder for an explanation that still hasn't arrived. PhDs and physicists often proclaim with unshakable confidence that gravity is not just a theory, but an absolute law. They speak with authority as if their degrees grant them ownership over truth. But are they right? Newtonian gravity declares that every particle in the universe pulls on every other particle, that dust, rock, atom, and star are all forever bound in a ceaseless tug. But follow this claim to its logical end and it unravels. If every mass attracts every other mass, the inevitable result is collapse. All things drawn into one colossal clump, a single super object with no planets, no stars, no galaxies. To avoid this fate, the defenders invoke inertia, orbital velocity, and the sideways fall of orbits. Yet these are not proofs, but rescue devices, additional stories meant to patch a failing law. We are told that diffuse hydrogen clouds gather themselves into stars through this invisible pull, but if that were true, every cloud would already be a star. We are told that at the atomic scale, gravity yields to electromagnetism, while at the cosmic scale, it rules as king. Though a universal force should not shift its dominion. And so contradictions pile upon contradictions, Orbits are described as bodies forever falling, yet somehow never arriving, a delicate balancing act that has never been demonstrated in any laboratory on Earth. The end game is clear. If mass attracts mass were literal, all matter would be one sphere, all particles merged into a single endless body. Yet what we behold is separation, diversity, stability, and form. The cosmos itself testifies that this doctrine cannot be true. What survives is not the clarity of science, but the armature of myth, a fragile tale continually mended with inertia, relativity, dark matter, and cosmic expansion, each stitch holding together a garment already torn at the seams. Some physicists now say gravity isn't even a force at all, but the result of universal expansion or an emergent property of quantum fields. Despite centuries of revision, one thing remains the same. Gravity must be assumed in order to uphold the globe model. Without gravity, a spinning ball Earth simply cannot function. It is gravity that explains why people can live upside down in Australia without falling off, why oceans cling to the planet without spilling into space, and why the moon orbits us in perfect harmony. Yet not one of these effects can be demonstrated without already assuming the shape of the Earth and the presence of this force. Hi, Lev. If the globe were real, gravity would be necessary, but on a level plane, it simply isn't. Objects fall because they seek equilibrium within their surrounding medium. No space-time distortion, no magical pulling force, no need for endless theoretical scaffolding. Have we misunderstood the nature of gravity? It is not a force we can see, touch, or test in nature, pulling objects together. At best, it is a description, not a cause. A model, not a mechanism. Even Newton, the man credited with its discovery, admitted he did not know the cause. He offered equations to describe motion, but motion alone does not reveal why things move. The famous Cavendish experiment, said to prove that mass attracts mass, is flawed. It was never done in a proper vacuum. It was sensitive to temperature, vibration, and even footsteps. Its results were so delicate that digital filtering is now needed to extract a pattern. That is not proof. That is reaching. We're told gravity is the great unifier, but no one agrees on what it is. Is it a force, as Newton said? Is it curved space, as Einstein imagined? Is it the result of cosmic expansion? The more science evolves, the more gravity shifts, slipping further into abstraction. The models drift farther from what we can touch and closer to belief. Let's return to something simple, something a child can see. Drop a rock into water and it sinks. Let go of a balloon filled with helium and it floats up. These are not mysterious acts. They are direct, clear, and observable. The rock is denser than the water, so it goes down. The balloon is lighter than the air, so it goes up. This is not magic. It's density and buoyancy. A long time ago, a man named Archimedes sat in his bath and noticed something. When he got in, the water rose. When he got out, it fell. From this he understood. When something is placed in a fluid, it is pushed on by the fluid. If the object is heavier than what it pushes aside, it sinks. If it is lighter, it floats. You can see this in the simplest way. Imagine holding a toy boat in a tub. Push it down and it comes back up. Not because of gravity, but because water pushes back. That's buoyancy. That's balance. That's something a child can test. We don't need invisible forces to explain what we can see. We only need to look closely. What Newton did was take observations of falling objects here on Earth and apply them to the heavens, a purely theoretical leap. He never left the Earth, never observed orbital motion firsthand, and never proved anything beyond his own equations. His universal law was just that, a law of assumption. And like all theoretical models, it only works when you accept the foundational belief that Earth is a spinning sphere suspended in a vacuum. I think I see Jeremy in there. Hey! He couldn't even calculate the moon's distance accurately without relying on presumed measurements, later interpreted to fit his theory. The data came after the model was imagined, not before. That's not science, that's backfitting. As for Kepler, he inherited 20 years of Tycho Brahe's star charts, which were detailed observations from a stationary Earth. Kepler interpreted that data using mathematics, not direct measurement. He never proved that planets orbit the sun. He simply described celestial patterns as if they did. Patterns viewed from Earth, then imagined as elliptical orbits in space, the same mistake continues today. The model is not built on physical proof of a spinning ball. It's built on geometry, assumption, and inference. Kepler and Newton did not go into space. They looked up, drew circles and ellipses, and built a belief system. The fact that Kepler's laws can be derived from Newton's in an afternoon doesn't make them true. It just makes them mathematically compatible because they were built to be. Circular logic, literally. You mentioned Newton's laws being used in engineering and construction as if building bridges proves the shape of the Earth, but Newtonian mechanics can describe motion on a flat, stationary Earth just as well. The math may be useful, but math is not reality. A correct calculation does not prove the globe. As for space travel, satellite launches, and lunar tides, these are all based on an assumed model. Satellites are tracked by ground-based radar, not space-based observation. Tides follow lunar cycles, yes, but correlation does not prove causation. We see the moon, we see the water move. That's it. The gravitational pull explanation is just a theory. Now, to claim that air and water can cling to a spinning ball in a vacuum, you say rejecting that is arrogance? I say believing that without question is blind faith. You've never seen curved water or air held to a sphere in a vacuum chamber. Neither has NASA. Every container of air requires physical boundaries. Every fluid finds its level. But we're supposed to believe that the Earth somehow defies both without ever demonstrating it. And no, Earth was not measured to be a globe. That's a popular lie told often enough to become unchallenged. The intentional maritime system you mentioned relied on angles to stars and charts, but those navigation methods work perfectly on a flat plane. Polaris stays fixed. The horizon remains flat. Long-distance travel across oceans uses triangulation, not curvature. No one sailed around the world with a plumb line proving curvature. The measurements were done on flat maps. Zetetic physics starts with what we can see, feel, and test. It doesn't assume a spinning ball. It doesn't imagine invisible forces bending space-time, and it doesn't explain things using things no one has ever seen. It honors what is, not what is theorized. Yes, gravity varies, but why would a universal law behave so inconsistently? If the force holding oceans to a spinning ball fluctuates by region, it's not a law. It's a patchwork theory held together by mathematical glue. We're told gravity is strongest at the poles, weaker at the equator, and changes with elevation. Yet despite these claimed fluctuations, water always, already finds its level. Plumb lines drop straight down, and your body doesn't feel any measurable difference. You don't weigh noticeably less in Ecuador than you do in Alaska. So where's this powerful force shifting and tugging you in fractions? Why isn't it observable? Then we hear the spin defense, that Earth's rotation causes centrifugal force. to reduce gravity slightly at the equator. But this introduces an even bigger problem. A spinning sphere in a vacuum would fling off loose material, not hold it tighter. Try spinning a wet tennis ball and see what direction the water flies. It won't be pulled inward. It will be ejected. Yet somehow on Earth, oceans cling tightly to the curve without a container, and air pressure holds magically, resisting the vacuum of space. No demonstration in real life has ever shown this to be possible. As for buoyancy and density, these do not require gravity. They require a medium. Drop a rock into water. It sinks. Release a balloon into air. It rises. These are interactions between substances of different densities. No mysterious force is needed to explain why heavier things sink in lighter substances. Buoyancy works because of equilibrium with a medium, not because a magical pulling force exists somewhere beneath your feet. And yes, in a vacuum, objects fall. That doesn't prove gravity, it proves there's no resistance. The object still moves towards the denser surface, as things naturally do. What direction does down point? Toward the ground. Always, regardless of your latitude. On a ball, down should point in every direction relative to the core, yet we all experience the same consistent vertical orientation. That's not gravity, that's up and down. The natural order. They also love to mock. Drop a brick underwater. It doesn't float sideways. Of course not. It sinks because it's denser than water. The medium determines the behavior. No invisible force is needed. Still they ask, what's the law of density and buoyancy? That's the wrong question. Zetetic physics is not based on inventing unseen forces to explain the observable. They don't need to invent a law when we can demonstrate the reality. You can verify density and buoyancy with simple, repeatable experiments. Gravity, on the other hand, has never been isolated, never measured directly, and still can't be explained. Even mainstream physicists now claim gravity isn't a force, it's warped space-time or universal expansion. No one agrees, but everyone is expected to believe. Newton himself admitted, I frame no hypotheses. He gave an equation but no cause. He didn't know what gravity was, and neither do we today. If you believe in gravity but can't clearly explain the difference between big G, the gravitational constant, and little g, acceleration due to gravity, you're not alone. Most people don't know, and that's the point. The system doesn't want you to understand, it wants you to accept. And it worked. The arrogance of modern physics often shows up in those who confuse memorization with intelligence. PhDs bragging about hiding comments where flat earthers won't find them reveal more fear than brilliance. It's easy to sound smart in a room full of parrots. Let's take a closer look. Critics mock true Earth researchers for not having a formal law of density and buoyancy, but what they truly resent is that it works without invoking unprovable forces. Lord Racer, he's racing his way to a better day, yeah. Critics mock true Earth researchers for not having a formal law of density and buoyancy, but what they truly resent is that it works without invoking unprovable forces. It explains motion and balance based on interaction, not imagination. They want equations to matter more than direct experience and credentials to outweigh observation. Physics students are taught that when solving problems involving torque, they can choose the rotation point wherever the math becomes easier. They're also told to treat the mass of an object as if it's located at the center. These are not discoveries, they're conveniences. Useful, yes, but rooted in assumptions, not universal truth. The moment a true earther challenges this, the response is defensive. Buoyancy depends on gravity, they shout. But buoyancy is simply the result of relative density in a medium. Again, a helium balloon rises because it is less dense than the air. A rock sinks because it is denser than water. This happens with or without gravity. What's required is a denser medium below and a lighter object above. This is observable, testable, and doesn't need invisible forces. Without gravity, there is no globe, no outer space, no infinite vacuum with floating planets. That model needs gravity, like a story needs a plot. Yet, what physicists won't admit is, yes, the buoyancy formula uses little g, but little g, local gravitational acceleration, changes depending on your location, elevation, and surrounding mass. It's treated as a constant, yet it isn't. And little g only exists within the framework of a globe Earth, where gravity must be assumed to hold everything together. Without the globe model, gravity has no function and no foundation. On a level, stationary plane, density and buoyancy work perfectly well. Objects seek equilibrium based on their material properties in a stable medium. No mysterious force is required to pull them down. That's theory, not demonstration. But what if the story is wrong? Big G, the gravitational constant, was not discovered. It was invented to make the math work. Little g, the acceleration of falling objects near Earth's surface, is just what we observe when things drop. But these numbers assume the globe burst. They are not independent. They are not origins. They are effects looking for a cause. We are told water curves over thousands of miles, yet it always already finds its level. We are told oceans stick to a ball, yet spinning objects throw things off. A wet tennis ball flings water outward. Shouldn't Earth do the same, spinning faster than sound? We are told it doesn't because gravity holds it all down, but we don't feel that pull. We don't feel the spin. We see balance, pressure, density. Ask a 3-year-old, why does the balloon go up? They'll say because it's light, and they are right. Sometimes simplicity is closer to truth. Modern physics stacks layer upon layer of theory like a castle built on fog. Dark matter, dark energy, bending space-time are all attempts to patch a model that no longer matches experience. The more questions arise, the more invisible answers are offered. But these answers ask for faith, not observation. What if we return to what we can see, to the way objects behave in different mediums, to how the body floats, how air moves, how bubbles rise, to the simple, grounded principles of nature? Archimedes didn't need gravity. He needed a tub and attention. And so I began to listen, not to institutions, but to the quiet logic of nature. I watched how things found their place. I saw motion governed by resistance, shape, and substance. I felt equilibrium etched into my very frame. I saw balance, not pull. I felt rhythm, not force. Gravity became less like a law and more like a story. One we were told, one we passed on, but not one we tested for ourselves. I tested it, and I found something else. Not an answer, but a path. I walked that path, not upward, not outward, but inward, and not because of a molten core at my center. I stopped outsourcing truth. I started trusting experience. I listened with the ears of a child. I observed with the heart of wonder. I did not fall into understanding. I rose into it. There was no force holding me down. There was only a world inviting me to look again, to feel, to question, and to remember. Light things rise, heavy things fall, and in between we float, held not by gravity, but by grace. There was only the living, breathing world showing its laws through pattern and response. Zetetic physics does not rely on inventing unseen forces to explain what we can already observe. We do not need to write a law when we can demonstrate a fact. It does not begin with assumptions. It begins with reality. And this always opens a larger conversation, a conversation about origins, about the nature of this place, about a creator. Modern atheism clings to the natural laws of nature as its foundation. Atheists believe in the Big Bang, in evolutionary processes, in the blind unfolding of chance over time. They insist there is no God, no creator, no design. And yet, they place their faith in the laws that govern the universe as if these laws wrote themselves. But the question remains, if energy cannot be created or destroyed, as the first law of thermodynamics states, then where did it come from? If entropy always increases, as the second law teaches, what set that process into motion? These are not theories. They are established, observable laws of nature, and they were not invented by man. They were discovered, already in place, waiting to be seen. So who wrote them? Who etched them into the fabric of reality? Everywhere I look, I see the fingerprints of a divine intelligence, a supernatural designer whose presence echoes in every pattern, every cycle, every law that drives the dance of existence. I see proof in the way all things move toward equilibrium, proof in the very concept of balance. That balance implies intention. It implies a mind behind the motion. The atheist defends the natural and dismisses the supernatural, but in doing so, they become blind to their own contradictions. To claim there is no creator while submitting to a universe built on unchanging laws is to live in spiritual hypocrisy. For laws arise from chaos. Laws imply a lawgiver. I apologize. For laws do not arise from chaos. Laws imply a lawgiver. Order implies intention. And nature, in all its beauty and structure, points not to randomness, but to reason. So I do not reject science. I reject scientism, the religion of theory masquerading as fact. I choose to walk with eyes open, heart attentive, and soul anchored in what I can observe. And what I observe tells me there is meaning here. There is design. There is something greater than the sum of its parts. There is a creator. Objectively, and the laws of nature are not his absence, they are his signature. This, gravity, the glue that holds the lie together. A theory sold as force, sold as fact, yet never touched, never seen. It is the sacred resting place of belief. Without question, the altar of modern faith. Perhaps gravity was never a force at all, but a metaphor for the heaviness of the lore we grew up absorbing, the invisible pull of consensus reality, the ache of unasked questions, and the fear that is pulling us down. Debate clings to this weight, hurling assertions like stones, each one hoping to strike as truth. But truth is not a battlefield, it is a clearing. And in the sacred space of the dyad, there is no pulling, no pushing, only presence. Two souls meeting, not to conquer, but to listen. Not to persuade, but to see. Here, the weight of the world shifts. The cosmos reorients. Not because a mysterious force binds it all together, but because we have stopped trying to force anything at all. You know, I'm no scholar, I'm no scientist, but I do know that you can make this is me, not the book. I know that you can create a mathematical equation to support any truth and any lie. You know, there's integers for a reason. So, I just want to thank Sonny, honestly. I'm really enjoying this, and I just want to thank you all, before we start chapter 15, for being here and joining me on this journey. Chapter 15 is titled A World Drawn Wrong. They gave us maps, not to help us find our way, but to make sure we never asked where we really were. And you know what? When I was in grade 1, Mrs. Cummins told me that you can never start a sentence with the word and. Take that! I knew she was wrong. Thank you for that as well. If by now you are completely lost in the proverbial sauce and still cannot manage to wrap your mind around the topic, then know this: you are not alone, and it is okay. Let's dive into something that will hopefully clear things up and provide a little context moving forward in our exploration. I must speak now to a truth buried beneath layers of dismissal and ridicule, one of the greatest misconceptions held by the many, an idea so strange it is often dismissed as impossible. You may wonder how, in this age of vast knowledge and dazzling technology, such a notion still lingers, still breathes. The shape of the earth and the nature of our reality itself is a secret veiled in silence, shrouded by scorn. It is a forbidden thought, unspoken in polite circles, marked by labels and warnings meant to shut down any spark of curiosity before it grows. A story has been told for generations, planted by powerful voices and watered by popular tales. It stops minds in their tracks, ignites dissonance and discomfort, and invites mockery. When you hear flat earther, you see a foolish soul, ignorant and lost, someone imagining a flat disc, a cosmic pizza drifting aimlessly through space with other planets. The mind freezes briefly, then bursts into a laughter party. You know this image well. You have seen the mocking memes and read the disclaimers, like the one on Wikipedia, declaring flat earth an archaic myth, disproven beyond doubt. This scripted line appears beneath every flat earth video, a preemptive strike. Even Congress admits such framing exists to confuse before a single word is heard. This is control, cloaked in ridicule and deception, a shield against questioning. But listen carefully. There is a vast gulf between worlds, deliberately blurred and twisted. On one side, the heliocentric model taught and accepted, a spinning, wobbling globe hurtling through endless space. On the other, the geocentric view, Earth fixed, still, unmoving, the center of all. Even with this, beliefs vary. Some see a motionless sphere, others a vast, endless, flat plane. No sincere seeker who studies these ideas believes in the caricature of a spinning disc or cosmic pizza drifting among stars in a heliocentric solar system. That was in bold font for a reason, boys and girls. Nobody does. That's actually the thing they sink in front of you to get you to dismiss it. We all fell for it. I did. Moving right along. That false image represents an illogical straw man, and it is fallacious. It is built to be mocked and dismissed. If you beg the question, if other planets are round, then Earth must be too, you have stepped into a thought trap of logic. Like saying, pool balls are round, so the pool table must also be round. It is a leap without reason, yet often repeated. The dance goes on. The debate is confined to the heliocentric frame. The geocentric view twisted into a comical disc with edges while the public is distracted by jokes and demands for photos of the end of the world. The confusion is no accident. Groups like the Flat Earth Society serve to mislead, presenting absurdities to derail real inquiry. The truth is clear. No true earther claims there is an edge. No one claims water spills into space. No one believes in a floating pizza world. That is a lie. No genuine researcher holds this false worldview. It is a straw man fed to the uninitiated who love to laugh and hurl insults at it, and it is, at its very center, intellectually dishonest and to go on assuming that. The image endures not as truth, but as fabricated symbol that many profit from. How dare you believe this? They exclaim. But they fight shadows. They argue with a parody planted by those who shaped their beliefs without their knowing. Or maybe they know full well, but lie anyways, because lie is lucrative, deceit is profitable, relationships fray as loved ones confuse the character with reality. The frightening straw man scarecrow lives only in lazy, uneducated imaginations and propaganda. Ask yourself, who first taught you this lie? Because it is not the truth. Your worldview is shaped by propaganda, too, meant to make dissent laughable. You memorized the joke, not the question. Indoctrinated, you cannot see past the caricature that replaces the globe in your mind. Yet somewhere, someone lied, and you never looked deeper. Look here, not there. I tell you this. I tell you, it is not this. Why hasn't anyone photographed the edge yet? They employ. The disclaimers want to believe that flat earthers think the earth is a disc. They do not. This misdirection is crafted by controlled opposition, ensuring every conversation is muddied and mocked. Your own beliefs were shaped by shadows, but you mistake them for light. You think flat earthers are brainwashed? Look in the mirror. Perhaps you fell for one of history's greatest blunders. Seek what is truly believed before you mock. That pizza earth is your fantasy, not ours. Only those who accept the heliocentric tale without research still cling to it. Others tried but fled, overwhelmed by dissonance and retreating to confirmation bias. When the shape of the world is questioned, a switch flips. Suddenly, skeptics must be encyclopedias of cosmic mechanics. If the earth is flat, then what's underneath it? Why do the sun and stars move as they do? Why don't planes fly off the edge? These questions are endless and expected. Indoctrination frames flat earth within a spinning globe model as if rejecting the story means you must provide a fully formed replacement, a theory